New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits. From sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hey, welcome in. Pull up a chair. Things are going to get weird on tonight's show, and here are some of the things you'll learn on the program. A tropical spider. I know, I'm arachnophobic too, but a tropical spider was spotted creating a sort of scarecrow spider in its web, many times larger than itself, to tell predators to go away. It's the first example of a spider making a puppet in its web we found in a rainforest. And it's horrifying, but also amazing, and we'll tell you about it in about 10 minutes' time. Then, it's the end of an era for the Metro card. You know, the subway pass people use here in New York where I live. And folks in the city have held a hilarious funeral for the now obsolete form of transportation payment. It kind of reminds me of that funeral that was held for a raccoon in Toronto, my hometown, many years ago. We'll give you the scoop on that story towards the end of the hour. That's some of what we'll cover on tonight's program. There will be more, but let's dive in with some science news. As we age, I think a lot of us worry about our memory, but there is a trick to make your memory improve as you age. All you got to do is listen to music after something happens. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but hey, we're going to discuss this new scientific discovery research paper with Jesse Rogerson on Science News. Jesse is a astrophysicist at York University. Jesse, what a pleasure it is having you. So great to have you back.
I'm so happy to be back, David. Thanks for having me.
Oh, what a mensch, he said. Okay, this one, I mean, it does involve Alzheimer's patients, so maybe it's not like I can't just listen to, I don't know, Taylor Swift's newest album and all of a sudden remember everything that happened in my life. Maybe it's not as simple as that, but it's pretty cool research.
You know what, though, actually, they in this study, so the headline of the study is that you can use music to reinforce knowledge that you just got, and they did it for both like healthy older adults and adults that are diagnosed with mild Alzheimer's. So it's not just Alzheimer's patients. It also works with healthy older adults. And the way they did this, so they had 186 participants. 93 were like the healthy older adults, and 93 were diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And then they broke those two groups into 3 categories and to listen to different types of music. So what they would do first is they would show them a series of images. These images had a variety of emotional tones, some happy images, some sad images, some neutral images, and they were basically committing them to memory. They were working with them. They were learning these images, and then immediately after that, they listened to some music, and that music also came in different flavors. Some of the people listened to really happy, like jaunty music, and some people listened to very chill, relaxing music.
Down
and then
tempo.
The third group, down tempo, yes.
I love that word.
And then the third group listened to white noise, which I think is a weird choice. So they were meant to be like a control. So you have this, once you've done this music intervention, they then ran them through memory tests. They said, okay, how many of these do you remember? And how many happy ones do you remember? How many sad ones do you remember? And then they also ran them through a test where they put in images that were not there before and got them to find the one that stands out. Which one's the one that wasn't there before, or which one is the few that weren't there before? And they found some really, really interesting stuff. They found that if you listen to music that is emotionally arousing, so happy, jaunty music, this actually makes your memory better. It makes you more able, this is for healthy adults, more able to recall the images and more able to find like the outliers. So that was really good. And what they found also is that if you listen to relaxing music actually makes you repress the negative memories, all the ones with like the negative emotions. If you were listening to relaxing music right after, you were less able to recall negative emotions.
You're a professor at a university. What would you recommend to students while they're trying to cram before an exam? Like just cram, read all the materials, go through all the bullet points, and then listen to what?
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, listen to music seems like the right recommendation. Listen to music that makes you happy is the right recommendation, but really cramming is the worst thing to do.
So my premise was off.
The premise is off.
Listen, this is something that professors don't teach you in university. D is for degree, my friend. D is for degree.
I think depending on where you're going, David, depending on what you're trying to do, yes, that could be true. But I think the role here is the role of the music here is it attaches this emotional tag to the memory. Emotions are coded much harder in the memory. So this is good for healthy adults. It's good for intervention for Alzheimer's people as well, but it's also good for PTSD people. So someone who has some severe PTSD, if they spend a lot of time listening to relaxing music, hopefully that might repress some of those negative memories. Now, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but there's some really interesting stuff found.
I have a pretty bad memory and I don't remember much of my childhood, but I remember one year after summer camp, I was driving with my dad and the Neil Young song Old Man was on the radio. And this is like a very moving song about reflecting on life's journey, with the wisdom of age. It's from the perspective of like a son and an old father, whatever. And I said to my dad, the summer went by really quick. And my father just said to me, life really goes by really quick. So, pay attention or something. And it was just an offhand thing he said to me. And it's so burned into my memory, probably because that song was playing. And now when I reflect on life's journey, that song and that conversation with my dad comes up. I know I'm kind of derailing, but anecdotally, when I associate music with memories, they become more powerful.
Yeah, I think, and what you're really doing is you're associating emotions with memories, right? And that's that's when you're activating the amygdala in your brain, which is it drives that memory down deep into the core. So you were in an emotional state listening to this amazing music, and then you had an emotional response from your father, and those two, boom, what made it go deep.
Our next story is about an emotional response, loneliness. The star Betelgeuse, a neighbor, several hundred light years away, but in like galactic terms or universal terms, it's pretty close, is a huge, weird star. And it turns out Betelgeuse, we thought was a lonely star, but there's evidence that it might have a small companion star swirling around it. Tell me, this is a weird sort of celestial thing going on.
This is the star Betelgeuse is this weird star because it's near the end of its life. It's a red giant star. It's sort of in its death throes.
Don't body shame Betelgeuse. Don't call it a giant. That's rude.
So we've noticed tons of weird behavior about the star for as long as we've watched it. As long as we've watched the star, it's in the shoulder of Orion, and it changes its brightness a lot. Now, this is not an uncommon thing in dying stars. Stars that are dying pulse. They get bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. They shed atmosphere as they do this, and they do it very periodically. So there's a very clear period of bright, dim, bright, dim, bright, dim.
Is this because of the materials that are fusing in the core are no longer like uniform? They're heavier elements. Like, what's the reason for the pulsation?
The reason for the pulsations has to do with like the thickness of the atmosphere. It's almost like there's a blanket on the star that is like holding in all the heat, and the heat, the temperature, the light that needs to get out sort of pushes the star outwards, physically makes it bigger and changes the brightness of it. And then that like lets off some steam and then it shrinks back down.
Got it. Okay, the companion star though. We gotta go to break.
And then the companion star is, so there's this pulsation of light, but then we found another pulsation of light that we couldn't attribute to physical pulsations. And it turns out the most likely scenario was that there was a companion star orbiting around and like plowing through the atmosphere that's like being shed by this star. And they found that it's not just about the Betelgeuse getting dimmer and brighter with this star. It's actually changing the amount of colors we get at different points because it's like physically punching through the atmosphere. So it's a pretty cool story. They confirmed that it's there both by imagery and by radio velocity measurements.
Well, that's pretty cool. When we come back, we will talk about the tropical spider that is making a puppet to scare, I don't know, other animals from eating it. It's horrifying because I hate spiders. But we're here with Jesse Rogerson, Science News, what we're covering, and we'll be back with more of that in a moment. Spider, Beetlejuice, yeah, stuff like that.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Break through the busiest time of year with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. With real-time guidance and endless ways to move, you can personalize your workouts and train with confidence, helping you reach your goals in less time. Let yourself run, lift, sculpt, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
For those who know that questioning everything includes questioning this show's existence. The Last Show with David Cooper.
We're about to talk about spiders, so trigger warning for me because I hate them and I'm scared of them, and I don't know why I agreed to cover this story with Jesse Rogerson, a astrophysicist from York University. We are doing Science News. Jesse, welcome back to the show.
David, good to be here always. You're scared of spiders?
Yes, I'm scared of spiders. Of course I'm scared of spiders.
Yeah,
They're
I am
terrifying.
too, a little bit, yeah.
9 out of 10 people die every day from tarantulas crawling on their face. That is a real statistic that I just made up.
Yeah.
Before we get into this, I haven't announced it in a while. We are soliciting caller science questions. The number is 1-888-505-6644. All you have to do is dial that. If we don't pick up, leave a voicemail. Any and all generic science questions are welcomed. In fact, the stupider, the better. All right, Jesse?
I tell my students every day, there is no such thing as a bad question because you're just seeking to understand.
And the only such thing that there is a bad thing of is a person that makes you feel bad for asking the question.
Totally.
Boom.
Oh,
Boom.
love that.
There's no stupid people, just people who are stupid for making you feel stupid for asking the question. That's too complicated. The number is 1-888-505-6644. I'm trying to think of an example of a stupid question.
You can't.
I don't even
They
know.
don't exist.
They don't exist. Okay. Tropical spiders. The photo from this
gosh.
is really cool, I got to say.
So I agree. Spiders are creepy. They creep me out. They usually creep me out when I'm surprised by them. But when I'm not surprised by them, I'm a little more cool. Anyway, have you read about spiders in the last 10 years? Because there's some crazy spiders out there that do really, really interesting things. Like there's a type of spider that throws a net down. Have you seen these? Videos
No,
of this?
I intentionally avoid this kind of stuff, okay?
They build a net out of web and like hang above a prey and then catch it in a net. It's wild.
This is like out of the movie Alien. I don't like this. What if they do it to me? What if there's one under my bed right now? There probably is, to be honest.
Plotting your demise. Yes. This is a spider out of the Philippines. It's not a new spider. It's a known spider. But what they found, and there's anecdotal evidence of it going back to 2012, but this is the first formal documentation of it where they look at the web of the spider, and right in the center of this web, there is what looks like a giant spider that's like many times bigger than the spider itself. The spider itself, these little orb weaver spiders, are like a few millimeters in size. And they collect like carcasses from their prey and like, bits of leaves and sticks and stuff. And they plant it in the middle of the web, and it resembles a giant menacing spider. It's got a central like circular area, and it has like offshoots that look like legs. Basically, it's creating something that resembles itself.
It's like a scarecrow because this little orb weaver is like a perfect snack for a bird. It's tiny, and it creates a gigantic, scary scarecrow. So at first you think, why is the spider attracting attention to its nest or web or whatever for predators? But then it's like, oh no, they're basically creating the scarecrow to scare away predators.
Absolutely. And like scare away me. Like if you're walking through the jungle of the Philippines.
I ain't walking through any jungle. There's spiders there. I ain't doing that.
You would see this thing, because this thing would be like closer to the size of your hand as opposed to like a few millimeters, right? Imagine catching it off the corner of your eye and seeing something that looks like a giant spider floating in the in between some trees, yeah, you would run away. And that's exactly what they think they're doing it for, is to scare things off. They haven't confirmed that yet, because in order to confirm it, you would have to like look at the webs of ones that don't have the scarecrow and the webs of ones that do have the scarecrow and see if there's like a mortality rate that's different. They also have found that the female spiders are hiding their eggs in it. So they create the giant spider and then hide their eggs inside. Even crazier, David. You want to be creeped out one more time here?
Great. Fantastic. Go ahead.
The spiders are able to, when something dangerous approaches, they jiggle the scarecrow to make it look like it's moving.
Oh, no. I hate spiders, man. Why would the world be such a bad place if we just got rid of all spiders? Come on. I mean, the mosquitoes would be happy.
It would be terrible, yes.
Yeah. All right, fine.
We need spiders. Spiders are our friends. I tell this to my kids all the time.
There's got to be like some ancestor of humans and spiders that did not get along, and that's why it's like ingrained in my DNA to be scared of them. Because I know logically I'm not scared of snakes, but people get that same fear, like they just the way they slither grosses them out. People get it with rats. I'm not scared of rats. I mean, I don't like rats. I'm not scared of snakes. I don't like snakes. I appreciate that they can bite you. But with spiders, it's just this irrational, like, you know.
You're not alone, man.
I know. I think arachnophobia is the biggest phobia, maybe.
Have you seen that movie?
No, of course I have not seen that movie. I will not watch I can't even watch Alien because the aliens resemble spidery creatures. I can't do it.
They do, yeah. They're pretty like long leggy in those movies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, should we go to our last story now?
Last story.
All right, it involves something called the fish mouth filter, and I got to derail because that is one of the nicknames I have for my cat. Here's a dumb science question. Why does my cat's mouth always smell like fish, even when we've given him a chicken dinner?
It's genetic, I guess. I don't know.
All right, genetic, I guess. You heard it here first. Peer review, I guess. 1-888-505-6644. Call the show, record a science question. The fish mouth one, that wasn't bad. Okay, but this is not involving my cat. This is involving microplastics, which are like all the rage to talk about these days. I suppose they're bad. We want to get them out of the water.
Well, you probably have them in your brain. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's why I'm so smart.
Yeah. You're getting the information from the microplastics. Yeah, we actually still don't know the physiological damage that microplastics are doing to us. It's being found in our physiology every day now. And one of the biggest culprits is washing machines. It's litter, it's stuff that we throw out, it's stuff that makes it into the oceans. And so this group in Germany was like, well, how do we get all these microplastics out? They were specifically focusing on the washing machines, so that when you wash your clothes, all the like fibers that have plastics in them don't leach out and go into your water supply. And they decided to look at like various types of fish and how they filter the water, because there's a lot of fish, there's a lot of animals in the ocean that use filter-based feeding, where they just open their mouths, they go swimming through the water, and the water goes into their mouths, and the microscopic things they're trying to eat, like plankton, gets caught on little comb-like structures inside their mouths, and the water just keeps going. So they have these natural filters. And so the engineers and the people in this group said, well, maybe we can build a filter on a similar premise of the inside of a fish mouth that would target microplastics. And it was two key engineering jumps that they made. One was the comb-like structure. So they looked at the inside of the mouth, and they went really close and looked at the fibers and the little teeth, I guess you could call them, small little teeth that are like grabbing the plankton. So that was the first thing that they replicated. But more importantly was this funnel shape of the mouth of the fish that like slowly funnels it towards like the back of the mouth, towards the gullet, to be swallowed at some point.
Gullet. There's a word.
It's
the word of the day. Gullet.
Gullet. Remember it. So they created this filter that basically, and if you look at the images in the study, it looks like the inside of the fish mouth. It's got like it's got a funnel shape. It's got rings that go around, and then it's got, if you were to able zoom in on it, it has this membrane that has these comb-like structures on it. And the goal is not to just throw water at it, which we normally do when you have a filter. You just like push water through it, and the filter stops everything. It's to have the funnel shape like act as a way of like rolling things down. And when they did that, they were able to get like 99% of the microplastics were pulled out.
So is there a future where I have like, between the drain on my washing machine and the washing machine itself, like a fish mouth filter and it saves the world from microplastics?
They're building it big enough to do that. That's the goal is like, let's put it right in the washing machine and then we can like filter it right there, which is one of the problems that microplastics have is coming from that. So can they're showing clear success. They had some interesting stuff and hopefully we can stop this problem.
All right, if anything, you've learned this. Word of the day. The passage by which food passes from the mouth to the stomach. Gullet. Jesse, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for sharing some of these science news stories with me. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here, David.
Jesse Rogerson. He is a professor at York University. In a few moments' time, the strangest funeral you've ever heard of. A funeral for what? A now obsolete payment method for transit. Sounds strange. It is. Details in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Olivia Culpo here to tell you all about the launch of the new Abercrombie Spring Denim collection, made the way denim should feel. Their denim has always been a staple in my wardrobe and has a wide range of fits, styles, and washes. Every jean is available in both their classic fit and viral curve love. Shop in the app, online, and in stores.
The news is doom and gloom. If you were reading a newspaper 800 years ago, despite the fact that the printing press hadn't been invented, you might hear something like this. Emperor Genghis Khan from the Mongol Empire has invaded Persia, China, and Eastern Europe. You could read that news and think it's the end of the world. But spoiler, the world did go on. We're here with Tony Five, foreign correspondent in London, England, not to talk about any upsetting news, but instead to talk about dealing with upsetting news. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hello there, dear boy. The last show always coming up with the biting topical issues of today. Genghis Khan invading Eastern Europe. Fantastic, my friend.
I know all the talking heads on the major networks are talking about it, and they don't have anything great to say. Look, you are someone that suffers from seasonal depression.
Yeah, it's never been clinically diagnosed as a seasonal depression, but yeah, I don't like the dark nights, the cold. It's very cold, very dark here in the UK. If you pick up a newspaper, listen to the radio, I mean normal radio, not this, but
not stuff. Freak radio,
not freak radio,
not weirdos who shouldn't have microphones radio, which is the official genre.
Sorts of things. I'm not in any way political. There's all sorts of things happening in every country, not just where you are, your side of the world, but in my side of the world, people are trying to invade Sesame Street. It's absolute insanity, my friend. And
there is a Sesame Street here in New York, and whenever I walk by it, my girlfriend, when I'm with her, she always gets mad because I sing the song, but I'm derailing at this point. You deal with moods in the winter months that aren't great. You turn on your phone, you start the doom scrolling, going through the horrible headlines. I know when you're doing it because you text me like, can you believe this politician did that? And all I can think to myself is, Tony, yes, I can believe it. Yes, it's horrible, but try not to let it get you down too much.
Yeah, I guess at the points where these happen, I sort of lose faith in humanity. Usually I'm a very bright, outgoing person. I like people, I love people, and I think that's the best part of the world. And sometimes when you hear and see and sort of acknowledge people being just horrible to one another, it gets to me, even though I could be a million miles away from it, and you're kind of fed this, you're drip fed this 24 hours a day through your phone, through what people say, and sometimes you just need a bit of sort of good news or something that sort of warms the cockles of your heart. And I guess it's kind of
not allowed to say that on the radio.
Can I not warm?
But no, cockles.
Oh, okay.
There, I've said it. Now we're in trouble. I feel like with you, and maybe this is true for a lot of people and they don't realize it, there's this internal dialogue, there's this internal war of like, you leave your house, you talk to the coffee shop person,
yes,
you talk to your neighbor, you have a friend over, and the world is all of a sudden uplifting, and you're like, I don't know, the well of goodness that you believe is true of humanity fills up,
yep.
And then you turn on the news, and you just drain it at the end of the day. And I'm not saying like the horrible news in the world doesn't affect us. It does.
Yeah.
But for you, Tony, like I wish you'd keep your head up a little bit more and just like look out your front door and see that, you know, the birds are still croaking. The beautiful cloudy weather in the UK is still there, raining. Does it ever not rain there? I don't know.
It never not rains. It's constantly
There's still
raining.
black pudding and like blood sausage and whatever it is you crazy people eat.
I think we don't identify our puddings in any shape, colour or denomination. But yeah, what I would say is, yeah, I get affected by it, meaning I sort of sit there and I sort of mull over it and I ruminate over it. And I think I read a report once or a paper saying that historically, because we were all basically cavemen and cavewomen, we were only ever worried about what was in our cave, our real close proximity, the sort of 10-metre circumference around us. And now we're being fed this information from the other side of the world, which is all obviously very, very sad, but we can't do anything about it. And I guess there's the part of me inside that wants to do something about it, wants to go and help people if they're struggling, or wants to give someone a meal if they are home, if they're hungry or homeless or whatever. And you physically can't do it. So I guess there's this sort of like a seesaw effect in your brain where you're hearing all these horrible things, you know?
Don't fall into this trap. You can help people who are struggling. You can make an impact, but you have to not set your sights on all 7-8 billion people in the world.
Correct.
You can set your sights on your local community, and maybe you aren't fixing some political horror show that's going on the other side of the world, but you can feel like you made an impact. So don't let like the overwhelming nature of like, oh, I can't fix what this politician said, or I can't fix this natural disaster in this country, or I can't fix this, like war going on between these two countries, but I can help out like locally. And I think
guess
that's the trap, right? We get so overwhelmed that we think we can't help, but I think we can in little ways.
I think you're right. I do a lot of sort of charity. I do a lot of local stuff. I look after sort of dogs that have come from pounds. I look after an older lady. I go and spend some time with her. I take her out for walks and stuff. But at the same time, I think
walking an older lady is different than walking a dog. I'm just saying.
it's exactly the same thing, and it's really embarrassing when she poops on the floor. But what I'm saying is that when you realize that all these things are going on, and then you hear these so-called, in inverted commas, experts talk about it, and they haven't got a clue what to do. I think that was what feels demoralizing. Yeah, all these, like you say, these talking heads, they come online or they come on these TV shows and they say, well, we don't know what's going on either. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And these are meant to be sort of the respected researchers who have spent decades of academic research trying to guess what political sort of strategies people have. And when they don't even know what's going on, when they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, it's kind of like, oh, wow, okay. Well, that's the way it is.
The world's too hard a place for any one person to understand. And anyone who claims like they understand it is probably an idiot.
Or a president. But, I'm not political.
Yeah, not political at all. Okay, let's do some uplifting news to that end. I mean, it's kind of a sad story, but it's based out of New York where I am.
Yes!
The iconic Metro card. And it's so funny to me that you sent me this story and I didn't know about it. And it was happening not too far from where I live.
Yeah.
But the Metro card is what people use to take the subway here for many, many years. It was this yellow card with like an amazing timeless design.
Yeah.
I think they designed the logo in like the 90s, but it was just like a wonderful, the font was cool, the color choices were cool. And they obsoleted them. Now when you enter the subway, you tap with your smartphone, your Visa card, or a special card that you can like recharge that acts like a tap Visa. And it's the end of the Metro card. So what did New Yorkers do? They held a funeral in Washington Square Park for the card. And it reminds me of something that happened in my hometown of Toronto, Canada, when a raccoon died and the city didn't clean it up. This is like a famous raccoon. And then people started laying flowers and held a funeral and like put a little photo of a raccoon like you would have at a funeral parlor next to the coffin. And then the city recently, well, not that recently, they installed a bronze plaque to commemorate the raccoon. Yeah. And the whole internet went wild. And I remember I just moved to the United States, and all my friends at this US company were so like infatuated with Toronto because of this viral raccoon. It's like these nice moments where you hold a weird funeral for a weird iconic thing. In this case, the Metro card. In Toronto's case, the raccoon.
It is strange because I had a Metro card. I remember a couple of years ago when I went, I threw it away. But I can see why it's iconic. I guess people like me, they don't really embrace change as well as I do. And it's got all these different designs. And there are some like sort of clever clever people who have started to try and sell them on eBay for $5,000, which I find quite funny as well. But
I would sell I have a stack of them. I would sell them for $5 if anyone's buying.
Okay.
But people brought MetroCard themed cakes. People did like hats. A woman taped them to her head. There was like a plaque. Apparently the MetroCard was a New York Mets fan. I guess, MET, they shared that in common. And just all these people like jokingly mourning this card. It was just so like uplifting under the guise of a funeral, a send-off, if you will. And that happened at the end of last week?
Yeah, last week.
And thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, I like that. I like it when people get together over something so unique and something so crazy that you would never think of. But it brings people together. I think that restores my faith in humanity, that people can do that,
If you mixed your tea with the wrong kind of sweetener or wrong kind of milk in the 1800s, the queen would actually come to your house and she had a rod and she would beat you with it. And when finally the monarchy said they wouldn't do that anymore, they held a funeral for the queen's tea beating rod. Is that something that happened, or did I just make that up right now?
You made that up, but I can imagine that happening with the king's rod, and I wouldn't like to be touched by the king's rod.
I hate you so much. Tony, I always enjoy having you on the show. Thanks for doing something a little different with the topic of more of the same. Doom and gloom, a little different view. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you very much, my friend. Keep smiling, people.
After the break, a history lesson involving secret tunnels and escape plans that risked life. We'll go all the way back to the Berlin Wall, covering the strangest conspiracy-fueled escapes to the West.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. We work hard to strike the right amount of intelligence and ignorance. The last show with David Cooper.
36 years ago to the day, the Berlin Wall fell. And by to the day, I mean 36 years ago, 1 month and 29 days. We are going to discuss about some of the wild stories that went on from escapes that involved going from East Berlin to West and the Berlin Wall falling and all that great stuff here with Lee Kuhnle, a political science professor at Humber Polytechnic who co-hosts the Uncover Up podcast. Lee, welcome to the program.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
You're looking nice today. You look very spry. Your beard's looking good. I wish people could see you on the radio.
Aw, thank you. I've been told I have a face for radio, but thank you. Yeah, no, I think I've recovered from the festivities. So yeah, it's good that we weren't recording earlier last month.
Fun fact about you, you are from Germany, although I believe you've abdicated your German citizenship. Is that the renounced?
Dear.
Renounced, that's the one. Should I not be disclosing this on the radio?
It's complicated. I didn't mean to, and I regret it, and I'm trying to get it back, and I got lawyers involved and things like that.
All right, if the German government is listening, please grant Lee citizenship.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they monitor. I'm sure the East German government is monitoring all Western media, or at least they would have been back in the late 80s. So let's talk about some of these wild escape stories, things that happened before, I don't know, somebody or someone said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall or whatever.
Right, that was Reagan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reagan, whatever,
okay,
Reagan.
So I gotta admit, I got a little bit of a soft spot for the rogues of history. Like not hardcore criminals and people like that, but kind of people who refuse to obey stupid laws. And as you said, I lived in Berlin. I lived in the section of Berlin that used to be East Germany. And I got to, I hung out with a lot of people who lived that life in East Germany, told me a lot about it. And some of these stories are from them. And they are just great because they are people who, they took a look at their situation. They're like, nope, this sucks, and I am getting out. Now, that, though, was pretty scary because it entailed potentially death. Like, the shootings of people who tried to escape East Berlin were very few. Officially, East Berlin, or the East German government said, we don't kill people trying to escape, but they did. There were, I think, I didn't look it up, there's 7 or 8 or so.
There's video of it. I mean, like, and that was a heavily fortified border, really.
But then there were 250,000 political prisoners. Many of those people were political prisoners because they tried to escape. So escaping East Berlin came with serious consequences, right? And, okay, but it's just a reminder, I know all your audience knows this, but just a reminder that the thing was, after the Second World War, East Germany is the Soviet-occupied zone. And then they're like, no, you guys are not going to become capitalist Westerners again. That was the reason you guys started World War II. You are going to be a Soviet satellite state. So it becomes its own country in 1949. But then they have this massive brain drain. And so they build a wall to prevent people from escaping East Germany, to prevent the brain drain, which they euphemistically called the Great Fascist Protection Barrier. But for the rest of us, it's just the Berlin Wall. And that was the point at which people were like, oh, we can't just go over to see grandma anymore. And so that's when these escapes start getting really hatched and planned. And I wanted to share a couple of them. I'll give you one this is not a well-known one. This was told by a friend of mine in East Berlin who knew somebody who knew somebody. But these are the kind of things that happen quite often. Relatively, I have to say, only about 5,000 people actually managed to escape. So, it was not that easy to do. But one of the problems with dividing a city, is that there used to be like one integrated place. And so you build a wall through a city and there's like problems like the subway. How do you deal with that? Now, this is stuff that people were able to take advantage of. And here's a brilliant story. Two guys, they dressed as painters, like house painters. They've got their buckets of paint and all their paraphernalia, including a big ladder. And they get onto the subway. Now, I'm not sure if it was the S-Bahn or U-Bahn.
No, was the U-Bahn or whatever, was it traveling between East Berlin and West Berlin? But there was just guards and you had to get off the train, basically. It was basically impossible to pass, even though the train was running.
Yes. Now, in this instance, they were passing over a bridge, and the bridge was close to West Berlin. So there were no guards there because they're like, you're on a bridge and you're still in East Berlin. What are you going to realistically do? Well, these guys who were not painters pulled the emergency cord at that moment when the train is crossing the bridge. The train, of course, stops as per policy. They force open the doors. They take the ladder out. They climb down. They take the ladder over to the wall where there are no guards because nobody's ever done this before. They climb up and over and boom, they're gone.
The next day, a guard tower was put up there, I imagine.
No, the next day, the train could no longer stop. You could not pull the emergency cord in certain strategic locations, and then trains were also not stopping at certain places. They just would not stop.
We think of these escapes, like there's this Netflix show called Cleo, which is like a fanciful comedy, but it's about an East Berlin spy, like going through tunnels and getting to West Berlin really easily. We think of it as like these spy operations, but this just sounds so clumsy and mundane to me. But these are the kinds of stories that actually happened.
Yeah. And they had to some extent, it was really ham-fisted stuff. Some of it was really clumsy. And it was born out of a certain kind of necessity because how do you get out, right? There's no internet. There's I don't know what we could use today that would help us or make it easier. But for them, it was like, how are we going to do this? And often it was like in the trunk of a car, or there was one really cute example, and I think this might have also come up in a film, in which a family, after a school trip with their son had been on to a friendly Soviet satellite state, maybe Hungary or something, they pretended that he had gotten a woman pregnant. And then they get the whole thing. They get flowers and chocolates, and they bring him to the train station and explain to the guard that he is going to go do the right thing. But in Hungary, there was there was no Berlin Wall. There was an easier way to get into West Germany. And so the border guard lets him on because, these are human beings, right, who are like just trying to get through the day. And he's gone. So there was all these like cute little attempts by people. But then, of course, they were the ones that are now immortalized in film, like the tunnels. There was more than one. There's Tunnel 57, Tunnel 29. And these are really like real operations to get people out.
Now, did the spy agencies on either side, they clearly must have had ways of crossing that were like, clandestine, that only government agencies could use secretly kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, for them, crossing was pretty straightforward. So first of all, West Germans could go into East Germany relatively anytime they wanted to. So there was a border crossing, but as a West Germaner, you could go in and then you could go out. So that way you could visit family. The East German guards, they were under the same rules everyone else was, but if they had official sanction, of course, other people got official sanction as well. You were allowed to leave. That was also itself no problem.
What if you're from West Berlin, you go in and you like lose your documents or your bag gets snatched? You're stuck there? Like,
No, you could get out because the thing was, like, all of this is within the context of the Cold War, right? And there are literally tanks at the Berlin border facing off at each other. And everybody is worried. Like, if World War III with nuclear bombs were going to start during that period, it would have started in Berlin. That's where everybody was looking.
It's wild looking at Germany today to think we were there like what, like 35, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
It's just wild to think that. When we come back from the break, what example using tunnels or that is kind of like more fanciful, less mundane are we going to talk about?
Yeah, we'll talk about especially Tunnel 57, although Tunnel 29 is really good. And then there's another wonderful example of a guy who zip lines across the wall.
We love a zip line here on The Last Show. We're here with Lee Kuhnle. We're talking ways in which people escaped from East Germany to West Germany, East Berlin to West Berlin during the Cold War. It's Conspiracy Corner. When we come back, more of this.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Smart, sharp, and slightly unhinged. Late night's fresh perspective. The Last Show with David Cooper.
We love a heist. It is Conspiracy Corner. We are joined by Lee Kuhnle, a professor of political science at Humber Polytechnic. Check out his podcast. It's called The Uncover Up. Every week we talk conspiracy theory related topics. And this week we're talking escapes from East Berlin to West Berlin during the Cold War. We're talking about the famous Tunnel 57. We love a heist on this show, like I said. And I think it's the most famous example.
David.
Lee,
and
welcome back to the show.
This is a fun one. And look, a lot of these, I don't know if I mentioned this, have been immortalized in especially German film. So if you want to find out more, there's Der Tunnel, the Tunnel 2001 film, which recounts what I'm about to tell you. And in an upcoming episode, it might be the next one, we're going to do a much deeper dive into this as well. On my podcast, yeah. So if
cool.
you like this stuff,
of your podcast,
there's
which
a
I
lot
love.
out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So here's the Great Escape, as it were, the Great East Berlin Escape. And as I said, look, only about 5,000 people managed to genuinely escape as opposed to being part of trades or whatever. And so this accounted for the largest single escape. This was 57 people. So it was big in terms of, how people managed to do it. And it starts in a West Berlin bakery that was very close to what was known then and today as Potsdamer Platz. Now, if you go today to Potsdamer Platz, it's built up. It's got a lot of corporate headquarters there, interesting art galleries. But
expensive condominiums, yuppies, that kind of thing.
Yeah. But back then, this was the dead zone of Berlin. This was the kind of the intermediate zone where there was walls on both sides and there were guard towers. And if you tried to run across here, you did get shot at. So it's very close to that place where this bakery where they start digging a tunnel. So these are students in West Berlin. Some of them have escaped earlier from East Berlin. It's 1965. The wall is up. And they want to help out. They want to kind of create a version of an underground railroad, basically. So what they do is they start digging a tunnel in this abandoned bakery, and they just dig. And the guy who's leading it, Neumann, he's actually studying to be a civil engineer. So he is able to construct a rather long tunnel because it needs to go down under the bakery, then right under the wall, Potsdamer Platz, and then it needs to come up in Berlin in a house so that, it isn't just
it's like open road that you can spot with a pair of binoculars or something.
Yeah, exactly. So they managed to do this. And they pop out in a house in East Berlin, again, close to the wall, but not at the wall. And even like in the film, they would do a wonderful job of this. While they're digging the tunnel, the East Germans seem to pick up on it. Like they know something is going on underneath. Now, it's not clear, are they letting it happen so that they can find out who's trying to escape or what's happening? Or are they not sure what's going on? Anyway, they get some sense. But they dig the tunnel, and then they, of course, because as West Germans, you can go in, you can talk to people, whatever. So they've set up a network in the East to let people know this is happening. They give them the address, they give them a code word, and over a couple of days, 57 people crawl for a number of kilometers under the Berlin Wall with machine gun towers and everything like that above them, and they get out. Of course, it was, the Stasi was onto something. They notice a lot of traffic in this like bizarre building where normally people aren't going very often. Send some plainclothes officers over, and the whole thing is shut down. I should mention, just for due diligence, that an East German border guard was shot in an exchange. It's rather complicated. We're not sure what happened exactly. And he then died in hospital. Nobody was charged for the murder. They're now West Germans. And so that's that. And it is not the only tunnel, though. You can see the depiction of this in the film. This one is known as Tunnel 57 because it got out 57 people. There's also Tunnel 29, got out 29 people.
Oh, wow. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? Now, weren't there like German secret police, the Stasi, weren't they operating in West Berlin? Wouldn't they know of the people who escaped and try to like kidnap them and bring them back if they were high profile kind of thing?
Yeah. So this is where the larger Cold War dynamic kind of protects people who have escaped. So there's a couple of I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but there's a couple of legal clauses that protected East German escapees. One of them was that you basically immediately became West German. So once you manage to get into East Germany, you declare, hey, I am German, and boom, you are now West German. So if now the Stasi or whoever comes and kidnaps you, they are kidnapping a West German, that this is going to turn into an international incident. And the big brothers of both sides, the Americans and the Soviets, will probably have some words, in the background being like, please don't start World War III right now over this,
Yeah, over this, like, I don't know, baker
Exactly.
or a courier who just, or a guy who was just like working at the laundromat who escaped. Yeah.
But you're right, though. The place at which people were caught was in the East. So if you were planning an escape, if you were thinking about an escape, there were a lot of Stasi who were part of the quote-unquote underground networks. They were part of the resistance movement. They were playing along as though they were part of it. And then, of course, feeding all the names, all the plans back to headquarters. And those people made up some of the 250,000 political prisoners that were in East Germany. They were caught trying to escape or planning their escape.
Wow.
Now, ironically, though, often those people would eventually be sent to West Germany because after their prison time was up, they were so disaffected. They were already not very happy with the state that they were willing to risk their life to leave. And then you give them a 5 or 10 year prison sentence in these really miserable conditions. They're really not happy. And so often the state would secretly just push them over to the West anyway. Like after they did their time.
Just get rid of them, yeah. They're not going to be good. They're not going to be good, members
of
the Communist Party anyway.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does remind me to note something, though, because I've actually visited one of these prisons, these East German political prisons. The one I went to was in...
As a tourist, just to be clear.
As a tourist.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, visited like I wasn't incarcerated.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
And the people who gave the tours of this political prison had themselves been inmates. And so it's pretty remarkable. You're going through and they are as bad as you would imagine them to be, these prisons. And so we got our fill of just the horrors of East Germany and the surveillance state and all of that kind of stuff. And so I was quite shocked, and I just wanted to pass this along. I was quite shocked that at the end of this tour, the tour guide turned to all of us and said, okay, but this kind of horror didn't encompass all of what East Germany was for us. And he felt that there were a lot of nice things about East Germany. Now, I'm not taking a political position. I tell you honestly, I would not have wanted to live there during communism. But I found it really interesting that, just like me, I really enjoy this kind of like looking at what the Stasi did, looking how people got away from the Stasi and escaped and all of that. That's exciting. But for a lot of people, that misses a lot of what was interesting about East Germany.
Sure.
I just throw it out there. I
think that's fair. Like, I imagine in North Korea, we think of this as like an enemy state, whatever, but in the day-to-day of people's lives, they go about their everyday life, and a lot of people are just normal, trying to live with their families and whatever. And, a state that we consider wrong and evil, even a state that fell, like, there's still these narratives there that weren't all terrible, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things was you got a job. You had a right to work. That's
a right
nice.
to work. As opposed to a right to, I don't know.
A right to starve or whatever.
A right to pay rent.
Yes, exactly.
Lee Kuhnle, check out his podcast, The Uncover Up Conspiracy Cast. He'll deep dive into East Berlin to West Berlin escapes in an upcoming episode. Lee, what a pleasure it was having you on the show.
Thanks for having me, David.
Up next, weigh in with us on some dilemmas. For example, the man who bought his wife a ring thinking she'd love it. She didn't. She got upset. He now wants to know, is he the a-hole?
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Prepare to have your mind blown as we delve into the complexities of relationships, explore the cutting edge of science, and celebrate the bizarre and beautiful absurdity of the world around us. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Relationship dilemmas from the internet. We are going to discuss with myself, a divorced man, and Dr. Eric Kam, a professor of economics, who's also divorced. He works at Toronto Metropolitan University. What that qualifies him for this discussion, I am not sure. But Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. And you'd actually be surprised at the overlap, because some of the skills that I learned to get through divorce help me every single day with many of my colleagues.
And these dilemmas, I think a few of them involve money, economics. Boom, we've made the connection.
There you go. Have a nice day.
Let's do our first dilemma. Okay, so a husband and wife, let's call them Bob and Mary. They are at a dinner party. Mary sees her friend has a new ring that her friend's husband bought her. And Mary is raving about this ring at the dinner party. So what does the husband do? Bob, he goes home, and the next day, the next week, whenever, he buys his wife a similar ring, thinking she'll love it. He gives it to her, and she hates it. She tells all her friends about it. Now the husband's left wondering, am I the jerk here? I got her this gift for her birthday that she said she liked, to try to, talk to a friend and say that she liked it. Is he the jerk for buying this ring when she hated it?
No, he's not the jerk. In fact, he noticed what she admired. He remembered it months later. He chose something meaningful, right? He chose her birthstone, and he was excited to give it to her. So I think that he really did nothing wrong. And in fact, what bothers me most about this story isn't the fact that she didn't like the ring. It's kind of the nuance of this, right? She goes and tells her friends that she doesn't like the ring. She makes it very clear that, she's an obnoxious loser and she wants to make fun and humiliate her partner. So that's my bigger problem with this, right? There was a healthy version that could have happened. Like, I love that you paid attention and tried to do something meaningful, but this isn't quite my style. No, she chose, I'll embarrass you, I'll be unappreciative, and I'll hurt your feelings as almost a bonus. So I would put that thing we can't say on the radio in her lap.
All right, so she is the tunnel. Look, we're keeping it clean. Okay, I'm going to stick up for the wife here for a second. I'm not even sure this is my position, but there's a read here where the wife, Mary, I think I gave her name, She's really just saying, trying to make her friend feel good by admiring the ring, and the husband should have known that. There's a great episode of Frasier where the character Frasier and his brother Niles go to a restaurant, and they're just trying to, like, you know, I don't know, build up the restaurant owner by saying, we love the art on your wall. Meanwhile, they hate it. And what does the dad do on Frasier? He buys the painting on the wall of the restaurant for Frasier, and Frasier's like, actually, I hated it. Shouldn't the husband have known that maybe this friend's ring, the wife saying it's great, was just her being nice to the friend and not something she would have wanted?
Well, 3 things quickly. Number 1, what a tremendous television show. We haven't seen writing like that in 25 years.
Agree.
Number 2, I think you're giving men way too much credit. I think we don't look at things the way that women do. And I know I would not make that inference myself. So no, I don't know if I want to go with that. But, you know, you've struck on it, right? What's the real problem? It's not the ring. The real problem here is communication and respect. It has nothing to do with a taste in jewelry.
Well, so you're saying the wife's the jerk for not knowing her husband would be thoughtless. That should just be assumed by all wives?
I believe in causality. Dismissal, silence, ridicule you behind your back is not a great character trait.
All right. I'm starting to see why we're both divorced, side note, although I believe you've remarried and I'm living with my partner. We have a house together. So maybe not a great point, but still. Okay. So the ruling is the wife, she should have just quietly said she didn't like the ring, maybe taken it back. When I got engaged, I shopped for the ring with my ex. And then when she said that she liked it, I'm like, pretend none of that didn't happen. And then I did the proposal. Oh, it's a surprise. When is he going to do it? When is he going to order the ring? Will it be on this day of the vacation? Blah, 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 blah. I think that's the way to do modern ring shopping, which is like, see if the person likes it. Once you get a yes, say, pretend that never happened. And then it's a surprise when they get it months later.
Well, I did the exact same thing, only a little different, which is when I got close to trusting another human being and realized I was with the person, I wouldn't mind taking another shot at this. We started to look around at rings and I got a real sense of what she liked and what she didn't. So similar to you, in a sense, it almost is too big a decision to just arbitrarily do. So I have no problem with getting the person's input into what their tastes and preferences are. But you're right. I mean, nothing's carved in stone. You can take a ring back. You can take back almost anything. Unfortunately, you and I learned you can take back a spouse. But it's just, to me, it's a lack of respect, right? It's a lack of respect. And it's almost the behind the back going to your friends and saying, even if his heart was in the right place, he's obviously a fool and doesn't know what I like. And I don't think that was deserved.
Do you want to walk us through our next dilemma? We got a few on the list. Is there one that you like?
Yeah. So the next one's kind of interesting. I took away because it was far too long to read, but to make a very long story short, a man with a lot of money doesn't do anything, and he admits walking his dog is the greatest thing he will do in terms of effort. But the person with whom he decides to take up residence decides that that's far too much money, so he actually starts to pay her to do domestic activities, and then isn't happy with the speed at which or the efficiency at which that gets done. And so the question is, who's right and who is wrong here? You want to take a shot at this one?
So, okay, I'm going to break this down a little more. So husband typically pays for like house cleaner, dog walker, pays for all the household things to be done. The wife doesn't want to do that for budgeting reasons, so she does it, and he decides to pay her for it, which is already a little weird. Like, this is your wife, not your housekeeper kind of thing?
It's a lot weird. I mean, the core assumption, there was an explicit arrangement. She takes over housekeeping, coordination, and she gets the budget that he would have spent. It includes things like snow removal and anything else. So she's basically going to keep the money he was going to pay to a third party. But then when it doesn't get done, he tells her things like, I already paid for this to be handled. Like, if you can't do it, I'll pay for somebody to do it. And so it becomes, in a sense, an almost implicit contractual obligation. And then when the work is not done according to specification, he's not happy.
All right. He's already I won't even say he's the a-hole or the jerk, but he's the weirdo for setting up his household like this. Okay. First of all, who pays their spouse, their partner, for chores? And then it's like you're their boss. If you don't clean the toilet the way I like, I'm now mad at you because you're on the payroll. This is not a healthy relationship. I don't even really want to get to the dilemma because I'm just weirded out by the setup, to be honest.
I don't think there is a dilemma. I think that these people or this guy or somebody has misunderstood that marriage is not a subcontractor relationship. You don't get to go to your spouse and say you accepted the funds, therefore performance is required. You get to do that to your lawyer or your plumber. That can work in business. It does not work in a marriage. And in fact, it's very cold. It's very punitive. And it becomes a power dynamic of I'm wealthier than you, so I'm in charge of you. You're not incapable. You're not injured. You were just unavailable or unwilling, and therefore I can fire you the way I fire somebody I pay to shovel my driveway. This one is just a ridiculous story.
I guess this guy's going to get to order around and have exactly the service he wants from the divorce lawyer he's eventually going to have to pay. Is that our ruling?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, as I was reading this, I just said to myself, this is a contractor relationship. They've misunderstood. This is not a marriage by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, Eric Kam is an economics professor at Toronto Metropolitan University. Eric, it's always a joy having you on the show. Thanks for going over these dilemmas with me.
It's always an honor. Stay healthy, David.
I will do my best to do that. In a few moments' time, we'll have someone on who's faced a dilemma that I think you, listener, can definitely relate to. He quit his 6-figure-a-year job. He sold his house. He sold all his possessions. He bought an RV, lived in it, and then toured the country doing stand-up comedy, pursuing his dream. Totally relatable, right? That's happened to you. And if not you, then your mother-in-law or your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law or some of, okay, very few people have done this. We're going to get this guy's story and learn what you give up when you turn your back on a comfortable life for a kind of career experiment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. The show that makes you laugh, think, and occasionally uncomfortable. The Last Show with David Cooper.
We are here with someone who has a story that I think we can all relate to. 9 out of 10 people follow this journey, and here is what it is. You quit your 6-figure job, you sell your house, all your possessions, you buy an RV so you can live in it with your dog. And why do you do that? Well, so you can tour the country doing stand-up comedy. My mom just recently did that, so this is going to be a helpful interview for everyone. I'm here with Alex Mackenzie, a comedian from Prince George, British Columbia, to talk his story. Alex, a very relatable narrative that I just displayed there.
Yeah, I would say I pass probably 20 to 30 people doing the same thing every day on the highway from gig to gig.
I'm guessing you don't have a Jewish mother, but I do. And if I told my Jewish mother that I was about to do what you did with your story, I think I would no longer have eardrums at that point.
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty funny. I think that most parents, Jewish or not, my Canadian mother, same thing. You know what's so funny? My mom was very when I was working in the mill, she was always like, "Oh, you got to get out of there. You got to go and do something and chase your dreams, And then when I was like, "Hey, I'm quitting my job to do this," she's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't just quit. I mean, what are you crazy?"
The subtext was she wanted you to trace your dreams as a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or an engineer is what she was really saying.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the plan.
I love that you treated your life like a canvas or an experiment. What has been some of the most unexpected results of this career pivot into comedy?
Oh, I would say, the biggest thing that comes of it that you realize later is it's not what you're doing, it's who you're becoming. So I would say that is the biggest thing I've taken away from it. Like at the beginning, you're like, oh, I want to do comedy. I'm so excited to chase this dream. But then as you get into it and you get years down the road of chasing the dream, you realize that the real reward isn't the doing comedy, but it's the person you're becoming along the way.
Wow. Look at you spewing this life advice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, it's because I don't know, you look and you just have to overcome so many obstacles. And I can look back today, I can tell you right now today that I am the best version of Alex Mackenzie that there's ever been so far in front of you today. And it's through the chasing the dream and the struggles along the way, man.
I think a lot of people romanticize, idealize what stand-up comedy is. Having done it myself and miserably failed at it and realizing how hard it is, and not just how hard it is, how much you have to it's an uphill battle every day. And if you don't have that resolve, you're going to quit. All the terrible gigs, all the terrible audience members, all the terrible bookers, all the terrible other comedians, everything about it is set up for you to fail at all times.
Yeah.
Somebody once put it to me this way: if you bomb at a show, it's because that audience decided they would rather have a bad time than have a good time with you. And that is soul crushing.
Right.
So I guess my question is, for those who romanticize it, what's your take on it, having really given your life to it?
Ooh, I would say, I don't know, there's a couple things there. One, you mentioned the audience. So one thing that really changed my stand-up career and helped me do a lot better was I used to go into the gigs where it was me versus the audience. I'm like, okay, I got to win these people over. I got to show them I'm funny and get them to like me. And then I realized they're on my team. No one bought a ticket to come to this show to watch you do bad. They all want you to do good. Everyone's like, man, I hope this guy's funny and I hope this is good. And once you realize that, they're you are friends with them. They're on your side. So how I do, man, what a big trick I learned, I greet the audience the same way that I would greet my dog, Finley. So when you get home and you're like, oh my God, there you are. What are you doing, buddy? That's how I greet the audience. I come out and I'm like, man, I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to see you. How's it going?
Maybe that was my big failing. I didn't treat the audience like a dog.
Yes, that's what you got
when you put it that way.
It was a good point.
Having the money, the house, the career, I feel like you got this checklist.
Yeah.
Society tells you you've won, but you're not happy. How do you decide to leave a job and go into a creative career where there's so much risk?
Yeah, well, you know what it was? A lot was depression. I was so sad at my old job that when I was turning 30, I was like, I'm not going to make it to 40. If this is it. And at the beginning, it's kind of fun. You're learning a new job, you're getting in there, and it's exciting. You went to school, and going to school is always fun because you're learning. Then when you get to work, you start putting some of that into practice. But once you've kind of got it locked in, you're like, well, this is it. Now, if I don't change something, I'm going to be doing this every day for the next 30 years. And I felt like I could see every day of my life for the rest of my life. And I was like, would you be happy if you kept doing this? And I was like, well, no. So then it became pretty easy to change path and be like, well, go and do something that you actually want to do and try that out. And yeah.
Was it always success? You've got videos with many, many millions of views online. You've toured Canada, sold out shows. Was it always easy, or that's just the side that people are seeing? It is a grind behind the scenes.
It's still a grind, dude. Every time I put a show on sale, I've got a tour on sale right now. It's 40 shows all across Canada. And I would say the average size is a 500-seat theaters. And every time you put them on sale and you start going, it's terrifying. Because you're like, what if I don't sell tickets this time? And you're constantly looking at ticket sales. And you're like, they're less than last year. You're like, my career's over. I had a little flash there and everything was good. And now people don't want to come back and see me. And so it's constant stress and fear. And I don't know. I think you have to believe in something bigger than you, is what I always say. Because if you only believe in you, you're going to come across something that's bigger and stronger than you that's going to make you quit. So you have to believe that somehow in the future, the dots are going to connect and it's going to work out. And yeah, it's just been a steady work. And you have to keep coming up with new material. That's the thing with Canada. I've done 3 national tours now, complete coast to coast, Vancouver to Newfoundland. And every year you have to have a new show for these people. If you're going back to the same city and it's going to be the same show, people are like, well, we saw all these jokes. We've heard it all. It's not like music where you're like, oh, just play the hits.
Do the audiences in Vancouver and the audiences in Newfoundland, are they the same? Is the crowd work the same? Are you writing different jokes for different geos, I guess?
Not so much. I try and do a little bit of local stuff always. If you can have 3 to 5 minutes of local references or that, I think it's something nice for that city, that town to kind of show hey, I did a bit of research on you guys and, it makes you relatable. But generally, I'm always trying to build a 1-hour show. So it's constantly like you just have this hour, you go out and you run it, and then you keep like tweaking it and tweaking it. And then by the end of the tour, usually you have it great. And you're like, okay, now I've got this thing and it's good all the way through. And then that's when you book like a taping and you film it and then you put it out and no one watches it. And then you try again.
I referred to what you did as an experiment a few minutes ago. Yeah. If this experiment called life ended tomorrow, what would you say your results were?
Ooh, they were great. You know, like I learned so much about myself that I would say it was worth it. You know, it is a really good book. It's called The Alchemist. And kind of like, not to ruin it, but the moral of that story is basically to go on an adventure and end up back where you started is not the same as not going on the adventure at all. So, you know, even if this thing failed and I ended up going back to my old job and then working there, it's like still everything you learned along the way and doing that adventure was worth it.
Well, your old job was a pulp mill. I quit like a Fortune 500 tech job to be in radio before AI and ChatGPT and all the like COVID layoffs. I don't think I can go back to my own career, my old career. So, Alex, you're a little luckier than me.
Well, I don't know. The mill I worked at shut down. So that's what I always tell people is I'd say like people were like, oh, you're taking a big risk. And the safe route was to stay at that job. Well, that safe route's no longer there anymore. So even if I didn't quit, I would have lost my job.
Well, it looks like you and me, I have to succeed in radio and you got to succeed at stand-up. Well, I'm happy to have talked to you today. I think there's a lot of people thinking, why wasn't there funny in this interview? Why wasn't there funny? When we come back from the break, we're going to do something kind of ridiculous with Alex Mackenzie, a comedian from Prince George, British Columbia. Alex, if people want to find out more about you online or see some of your great videos, where can they do that?
Just everything's Alex Tells Jokes, whether it's social media or my website, alextellsjokes.com.
Fair enough. We'll be back with Alex in a moment.
Part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. When the day is done, we're just getting started. The Last Show with David Cooper.
It's Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday, except it's not. It's Ridiculous Questions, Would You Rather edition with comedian Alex Mackenzie from Prince George, British Columbia. Alex, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to doing this.
And if we're going to do the highest form of radio, Would You Rather questions, I can't think of anyone better to do it with than our foreign correspondent in London, England, Tony 2026. Tony 5. Tony, welcome to the show.
How are you, dear boy? Yes, flattery is the lowest form of flatulence, I believe.
That is a non sequitur that I am glad you said. Okay, the game is simple.
You're a non sequitur.
That's not how you say that word. We are going to ask some questions, would you rather questions, and Alex, Tony, and I are going to give our takes.
Would I rather
first
what?
Well, that's what would you rather do, Tony, one
would
thing
I
or
rather
the other?
do this show? No. First answer. First answer. Thank you, audience. Good night. Take care. Try the veal.
You're doing great, Tony. All right, number one, and we'll get Alex's take first. Would you rather have a finger-sized nipple or nipple-sized fingers?
Finger-sized nipple for sure. The utility in nipple-sized fingers just makes it hard. I couldn't get into my iPhone, probably. None of the finger scanners would work. I wouldn't be able to pick up my favorite water bottle,
Yeah.
Nipple-sized fingers for sure. And those, maybe if I could learn to control them, that could be a little gag on stage. Every time I had a punchline, I could twirl tassels. My career would probably take off.
Apologies, Alex, but you're completely wrong. What the correct answer is a nipple-sized finger. The stubbing would be fantastic. Having two sort of Scud missiles pointing out of your chest would look absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it would help your career in any way, shape or form. I open my iPhone with my face, not my nipples, so I think I'd be okay.
Well, I didn't know that you're one of those fancy guys that had a fancy iPhone. I guess you're obviously not a comedian and you can afford a new one.
Correct. Fancy iPhone, nipple-based finger. Love it.
This one I'm going to give my take on first. Would you rather be constantly itchy or constantly sticky. And I'm actually going to take itchy because stickiness annoys me more than itchiness. It's part of the reason I don't want children, because children are notoriously sticky. I'm going with the itch, even though, and I already kind of have that because I got skin fungus all over my body. Ladies, I'm taken, by the way. That's my take. I'd rather be constantly itchy. Tony, what would you rather be?
I had a friend that has sabbatical dermatitis or something. So she's always scratching her head. It always drives me mad. And it drives her mad as well. But I hate being hot and sticky. So I am really hot. What about being itchy and sticky? God, that would be... I'd not one either. David, very difficult. I would say I'd rather be sticky than itchy. Itchy would just drive me crazy. Sticky, I could stay in one position, right? And I wouldn't have to worry about anything. I'd be like a fly trap. I'd be a human-sized fly trap.
Yeah, you would attract insects. Alex, your take?
Ooh, the itchy is enticing because if you're itching, you kind of look smart. If I'm constantly doing this, I just look like I'm thinking.
Radio's a very visual medium, Alex. So Alex is scratching his beard, even though everyone already knew that.
Right. But I would go with sticky because I have abandonment issues. And if I was very sticky, then maybe someone would actually stay with me, They're stuck to me, and then they couldn't leave.
Well, this next one, would you rather be incredibly beautiful and stupid, or would you rather be very ugly and super smart? Tony, you're already
taken.
Ugly and stupid.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. Yeah. Now you would just get the benefit of one.
I think incredibly beautiful and dumb is the majority of people on Instagram. So I would definitely want to do that.
I think beautiful and dumb is a very blissful way to be. I feel like ugly and I'm smart enough to know that I'm ugly. I'm smart enough to know what people think of me. I'm taking dumb and beautiful, actually.
Well, you do it, and someone has still seen your private part, so you're doing okay.
Fair enough. I don't know what that means, but I like it. Alex?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the panel on this one. I think dumb and beautiful because people are if you're dumb, people give you a lot of leeway, a lot of runway. Like you look at dogs, like people look at how smart my dog is. I'm like, dude, if that was your kid, it would be a moron, You're like, you can't sit still, peas in the house. So I think being dumb and beautiful, people would treat you like a Labrador retriever. And that is my goal.
I agree. I also think beautiful people do get away with so much more than ugly people. It's really sad. Beautiful people have a pass to do anything and to go to places and to get invited to things. And I wish that would change. I wish we could all just wear bags on our heads just for a day, like a bag day where we all wear paper bags on our heads and we get into places. We go to Michelin-starred restaurants, don't get turned away at the door. I think that would be a cause I would step behind, David.
I think you should petition His Majesty the King to make this a national holiday in the UK, Bag Day.
Brown Bag Day. Brown Bag Day, everybody just puts a bag on their head, little eye holes, and you get into places, right? It would be amazing.
You could go to the Ritz Hotel and have tea no matter who you were, no matter how ugly you were. Alex, before the break, we were talking about how you quit your job, you got rid of your apartment, your house, you lived in a RV doing stand-up comedy. So this question is for you. Would you rather wear someone else's dirty underwear or use their used toothbrush?
Oh, yeah, I have no problem with either of those actually at all.
Good lad.
It's not a problem at all. It depends. If I'd already brushed my teeth that day, I would probably go with the underwear because then I don't need the toothbrush. But if I had not brushed my teeth, I would definitely use their toothbrush. And it depends whose toothbrush it was, right? And let's go. I'll go toothbruch. I'd rather use their toothbrush.
Yeah, why pick one when you can have both, Alex? Tony, which one? I feel like you're a bit more of a germaphobe than most. Which one would you choose?
I know you're extreme on the germaphobe scale, aren't you? I'm not as extreme as you. I get a feeling that you are quite extreme toothbrush. Yeah, it's the same thing. I remember when I was little, I picked up some chewing gum from underneath a bench because my parents wouldn't let me have chewing gum, and I chewed it. And I think that was one of my major sort of recollections of having chewing gum.
And that's the short version of how you ended up this way, Tony.
Correct, yeah. I used to walk around just eating other people's chewing gums. But yeah, I mean, other people's pants, not a problem. In fact, when I stayed at your house, David, I did try on a number of your underwear.
We have a cat sitter, and she posted social media stories while we were traveling wearing Miranda, my girlfriend's, not her underwear, but her nighty lingerie, sexy, nightgown. She was very upset, my girlfriend, when she saw that. Look, if you wear dirty underwear, that's at best rude to the people that you share a bed with, your significant other, maybe one person. If you use someone else's toothbrush and you catch a disgusting mouth fungus, that's rude to everybody you speak to who smells your dirty breath. Therefore, on the basis of kindness to strangers, I'm choosing the dirty underwear because I don't want to risk infecting my mouth with someone else's yuck.
I mean, how dirty is this underwear?
Well, that is unspecified.
There is a scale on dirtiness. I'm thinking if it's just general dirt, yeah. I mean, if they've had like some sort of dirty protest, then no.
All right, my last one. Would you rather go to bed with someone who has really bad body odor?
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
Would you rather go to bed with someone? Yes or no? That's the story. No, would you rather go, spend the night with that special someone, whoever he or she is, who has really bad BO or really bad breath?
Oh, no question. The BO.
Yeah.
Bad breath is just something else, man. If you're a bad breath, we're sleeping head to toe if you got bad breath. You know, if you got bad BO, like, come on, cuddle in here.
Yeah. Some people's BO is kind of pleasant, especially if you're into them, I got to say.
Dude, I would rather lick someone's dirty armpits than be around someone
I was hoping
with
you
bad
would say
breath.
that. But yeah, okay. BO, some people say that BO contains these pheromones, so you could be quite attractive to it, whereas bad breath is just horrific.
Well, I've appreciated killing time, having fun doing these Would You Rather prompts with comedian Alex Mackenzie, who is from Prince George, British Columbia. You can check him out at Alex Tells Jokes. Excuse me, at Alex Tells Jokes. Did I do that right?
That's good now. Yeah, Alex Tells Jokes, man. You'll find it.
Close enough. Alex, thank you for joining me and Tony.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. That's super fun.
Alex, you legend.
And Tony Five, our foreign correspondent. What a joy it was having you. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you very much.
I'm David Cooper. This was The Last Show. Don't forget to subscribe to The Last Show podcast. On the podcast, you can hear entire nights of the program that you missed, listen to interviews that you loved again, or catch some of our bonus podcast-only content that you won't hear on the regular radio program. To subscribe, head to our website, www.lastshow.pizza. On it, you can find details of the podcast, or in your favorite app like Apple or Spotify, search David Cooper Last Show. We'll pop right up, and from there, you know what to do. We'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in.
My name is Jordan, and I'd like to invite you to join me on The Canadian Gothic, a podcast covering stories of Canadian crime, mystery, and the offbeat. The Canadian Gothic blends the spirit of late-night talk radio with the depth of a documentary film and applies that approach to both developing stories and historical cases. So if you're drawn to the dark, mysterious, and offbeat, search for and subscribe to The Canadian Gothic wherever you find podcasts.
You are listening to Canadian Gothic.